then Highway Patrol takes it over, and that's what we're seeing here. And usually, because of their protocol, they tend to be a little bit more aggressive, CHP does, than our local agencies. So we'll see what that means for tonight's high-speed pursuit. Again, a stolen vehicle suspect. We're taking an exit here from the 91 eastbound in the Downey-Norwalk area. This looks like it might be Pioneer Boulevard. We'll see as we get to the signal here what this stolen vehicle suspect decides to do, and also what traffic looks like on the surface streets, because we know that it becomes a whole different ball game.
Yeah, more dangerous on these surface streets, right?
It can be, absolutely.
The traffic lights and more traffic, although it's late, probably not pedestrians. Tim Lynn, who we often use in these situations, is on the phone with us. Tim, I know we don't have a lot of information, but what are you seeing so far?
I'm just seeing your normal pursuit by CHP of their stolen vehicle getting off the freeway now. As you were saying, it does change the dynamics. You get off the straight with no pedestrians, no cross traffic. And now that you get down on surface streets, now you're worried about those things as well. So as long as they have the helicopter overhead calling the pursuit for them, that should slow the units down. But it looks like the driver is somewhat obeying traffic laws other than failing to yield. But luckily we're not seeing it to where they're shooting through the intersection. You can see that CHP officer pulling up and kind of blocking the intersection. Yeah, wasn't sure if he was going to try to do a roadblock. But anyways, he pushes through that red light. Yeah, they're going to do whatever they can to just stick with him. And then once the opportunity presents itself, more than likely you'll see a pit maneuver when they're going these speeds.
Yeah, it seems like that's a possibility given the fact that there doesn't seem there'd be much traffic, and they would obviously look for more of an isolated stretch of roadway before they would try that. That's one of the first options, right, Tim?
It's one of them, yes, and spike strips are another. CHP use spike strips quite a bit, but on the pit maneuver, you have to be very careful. You have to look for oncoming traffic if you're going to take it from the left, because that sends them off to the left and through oncoming traffic. And when you throw them to the right, you got to worry about that pedestrian you don't see up on the sidewalk, especially if you stick it pretty good and it goes around and goes backwards up onto that sidewalk. But so they really got to pay attention to get the call from the area unit. They'll say, hey, we're ready for a pit. The area unit will kind of survey the area, and if they have a good feeling about it and it looks like it's clear, like it is right in this area here, be a perfect time to do it. But we don't know all the information on this. Yes, we have heard stolen, but what information have they developed since this pursuit started? Is the person armed? Is there somebody in the car? We have these stolen vehicles where a parent will get out of the car and leave a child in the back seat. Somebody will jump in and take off with the child. So you may, you could have a situation like this. You have to be very flexible in these situations. That first officer behind them is the officer in charge of the pursuit, and then you have a supervisor back from there, keeping an overall view of this pursuit, and we'll try to figure out, with all the information they have, what is the safest method to end this pursuit, and then go from there. So, everything from talking to him on the phone to get him to slow down and give up, talking to him with the PA from that lead unit, anything's possible to try to get this guy just to stop before they use any more aggressive methods.
Yeah, and not driving aggressively, though. This is interesting because when we picked up the pursuit, high speed on the highway with about 100 miles per hour. Now we're making a U-turn here at Excelsior Drive. So now we're back on Pioneer the opposite way. And what we've been able to glean since, jumping on the air, it's a four-door sedan. Looks like, some fancy wheels, tinted windows. We got sort of a look at the driver sort of casually driving behind the wheel in the 20s. Now we're in the 30s. What do you make of this behavior where it's not as erratic as it was on the highway, Tim?
Well, just to boil it basically down, and looking at this, if I was watching this from my seat of my police helicopter, I'd say not his first rodeo. So not very excited at all about it, just knows that the inevitable is coming, that probably going to end up in jail tonight for a while, but how long is it going to take? We see this unit coming up getting ready to set up for that pit. So watch as he pulls up. and he goes up, and now the driver's going to speed up and get to a point where he's not going to be able to do it. But yeah, once you commit to get in there, you've got to go. You've got to get in there, put that fender on, the rear fender of that car. You know, quarter turn into the car, on the brake, on the gas, on the brake, and then that takes them right on around. It's a very simple procedure. They train for this all the time, especially CHP, and most of your local departments do it as well because it's such a successful way of handling these pursuits. Because most cars, if they get spun out and the car is in drive and it turns around and goes backwards, the computer in the car senses the car going backwards. It will turn off the car because of safety measures that it has. So the guy has to put it in park, turn off the key, turn the key back on to get it to come on again. But right now we're just watching this back and forth on Pioneer, and he's pretty much toying with that officer right now. He knows what's going to come, so he knows that if he keeps the speeds up, the officer may not go after him, but I can see the accelerating away. So this is just basically toying with that officer. And as we saw last night with that pursuit, just kept going back to the same area, getting into a familiar territory, and maybe this is familiar to this person, and we'll try to stick with it. But yeah, as he slows down, let's see the officer come up.
Here's that pit.
Got to get him. Got it. Yeah, you see what he did? He slowed way down.
He backed off because of that gas station there.
Well, also too, the driver let off the gas, the inertia went away. So now you have it perfectly underneath an awning of the Arco.
No, now we get a lot of civilians there. This is not a good situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, you see the bumper hanging off. It looks like that driver may have just gotten out if you look at the white tennis shoes just down below the awning.
Right.
And so if that's the case, then they will tell him, yep, you see him dropping a phone, it looks like. Now he'll get down on the ground. Yep, bald spread eagle there. And officers will move in. So we see the guns drawn. This is the Arco at Pioneer Boulevard and Lomont Street in the Downey Norwalk area. Quite the CHP presence there. And walk us through what happens now.
Well, they should walk him back towards the units, away from the car. But it looks like they just had him lay down, or he laid down on his own, because normally you want to get them away from the car just in case there's somebody else in the inside. So now you see him getting back up. So he's probably not following directions very well. So they want him back away from that car and be able to handle him back under by their cars. They have a little bit of cover and concealment in case something comes out of that car. Right now, the air unit is doing its best to get a look in that car as Skyfox is as well, moving their position around. You see him now backing towards the officers. Like I said, they'll get him back in there behind one of the doors and then deal with him. And then after they take care of that, then at that point they'll have that team come up and clear the car, as it's called, to make sure there's no one hiding in the back seat. And then, of course, they always check the trunk, too, because you never know if you might have a victim in that trunk.
So we're talking with Tim Lynn, police specialist, retired law enforcement officer, retired news helicopter pilot. We always appreciate your insight on these things. I mean, these officers, they make it look sort of simple, but this is a very dangerous and volatile few minutes, isn't it?
It is. It's a high tension when you come to the end because you do not know what's going to happen.
Right.
And it is all dictated by that suspect. Does he come out shooting? Does he come out peaceful? Or someplace in between? You see the officers coming up now with that team to clear the inside of that car using the pumps as cover. So right now, once they get up there and do that, one of the officers will go to the left door there, off the trunk, so they can check that. But yeah, when these things come to an end, you really have to be ready. You have to be on your at a 10 out of 10 because you don't know what's going to come out of the car. And sometimes they'll get out very peacefully, stand there, and the next thing you know, they're going for a gun or they start returning or laying fire on you. And you have to expect that. And then it's always easier to come down in your awareness than it is to try to catch up to the suspect. So if you come out, like I said, 10 on 10, it's easier to come down to a level 5 to be able to handle the peaceful situation. But you just want to react to what that driver does. And at this situation, it looks like he just wanted to give up and go peacefully. And that's the way you like them.
That's what I'd like to see.
And we want to give some credit to CHP, who did the little bit of the pit maneuver, which got him, off course and into this Arco, where they have called a code 4, meaning it's over and done, all is safe. Suspect in custody, so good work there by CHP. Again, this is Pioneer and Lomont in the Downey Norwalk area. Tim Lynn, we appreciate you. Thanks so much for jumping on.
We're going to move on here. Only on Fox LA, a local transgender woman is rallying for unity amid high tension surrounding Charlie Kirk's murder.
Although she was not a supporter, she is encouraging others to look past the political divide in America and instead choose peace. Fox 11's Gina Silva got a chance to sit down with her.
For Gigi